there's the people who very attentively watch every second of these videos and can say, you said the instead of they. And so therefore your meaning must have been significantly different than what I there's that. And I appreciate those, watching it. Then there's the others who clearly have not watched more than 3 seconds of the video and comment very passionately about what they think the video might be about. I go back to the aforementioned ECC football conversation where there were...
Well, it's obvious that you just hate every football player and coach
clearly
in the Eastern Connecticut Conference.
That's the some of the comments that were sent my way. I was like, okay, well, yeah, I guess we didn't watch the video at all. But it's a commentary on the world we are in right now. So what I realized off of last week in particular is that I have to stop pretending I don't live in this world, and that I have to understand that there are going to be people that the comments coming at me with people who clearly didn't watch the content is the world we live in, as is the overinterpretation, the people living on every moment. That's a real thing. So I am decided rather than be in denial, I am going to lean into these things. So the first thing is, as I promised, you can see here, the official game day crystal ball. I consulted with it all weekend long. It gave me a lot of important information. All right. Number 2 is I'm going to put on my glasses so that I can make sure I accurately read my power rankings. Because, it's possible that in any given week I could just, misread what I have. That could happen. You never know.
And you never know. So last week we had a team that won a game and dropped 2 places. Now, is it possible that you can not play a game and drop in the rankings? Is that a possibility?
It's 100% a possibility. And in a moment we'll find out if it's a reality. But this week I've decided, in my effort to lean into things, that not only am I going to announce my top 10 ECC teams, my power rankings, I have assigned an emoji to how I feel about each of those teams right now. How I feel, not how they're feeling, but how I feel about this team after week 4 via emoji. Is there anything more now than that?
You could somehow work in a 6-7, and then it would be a little more now.
Okay.
But please don't.
Oh, okay. So on the first one, I'm just going to show them to you, and you can figure out. This first team is so good, they get two emojis. So if there's any doubt who the number 1 team is, it remains the Killingly Trailblazers. They did what they needed to do with another very ho-hum and very powerful. And that's how I feel about Killingly right now. I feel like most weeks it's going to be this, and then it's always this. Now there are a couple teams on the schedule still that we're looking at. Obviously, Massick jumps out, but mostly they're this, and this is how I feel about Killingly right now. Because it's not that they're boring. That's not what this is. It's each week is kind of just like a little ho-hum for them.
So I think the results are maybe ho-hum, but the individual performances that we keep seeing via grade 8 submissions, for example.
Yes, that's a good
They
point.
are doing their best
Yes.
to keep you awake and engaged.
Yeah, that's a great point. The results are ho-hum. The way they're getting there is anything but. They're incredibly exciting. But yes, they are the results, and I have a feeling that most weeks that's going to be the case. So my number 2 team, coming off of a bye, is still the only other undefeated team in the ECC, and that's their emoji. Because how else can I feel about Bacon Academy right now? Undefeated, second best point differential in the ECC, right? No matter what happens moving forward, life is good right now for Coach Ladiga and the Bobcats.
I think if they're point differential wasn't so good that maybe you might make an argument that a one-loss team deserves to vault over them, but their wins have been decisive, and so until they're going to be challenged, right? Mm-hmm. We know that's coming, but until they are, I as much as I want to,
I know you do.
I cannot argue with the placement.
This week?
And not because I want to argue against bacon.
No, just me.
Because I want to argue against you and the home cooking.
100%. Home this week against New London. Again, it's my two worlds colliding, and I don't ever say this. I never say should. But a game that Bacon, by all accounts, feels good about, that it's a game it's a winnable game for them as well. And that would bring them into the Griswold game, which I think is the best team on their schedule up till now. So I think that game, which you'll have live on game day, by the way, is an opportunity to see where they stand. But right now, today, it's all good. Everything is better with Bacon. So my number 3 team is also coming off a bye, and we're not moving them just yet. And that's how I'm feeling about Griswold right now, because I feel like everything coming out of Griswold is just a little too cool. You got outstanding play from the quarterback. You got the great running back. You got cool waters. They just came off of that big win over Ledyard. Right now, everything is coming up roses for Griswold. They are playing Woodstock this week. So Killingly's on a bye. Bacon's New London. Griswold is against Woodstock. Woodstock hasn't won a game. Griswold should feel good about this as well. So it's entirely possible Bacon-Griswold becomes a showdown next week. Off of an undefeated and a one-loss team. But I feel like if you're Griswold right now, you survived that bad loss, not a bad loss, you survived the opening loss to a good Seymour team, and now you're starting to remind yourselves of who you are.
So I think this one's a little tough because there are a couple of other one-loss teams that are going to say, hey, like we went out and played and took care of business. We're playing a tougher schedule because we're in a higher level in the division.
Yes.
So I think you are going to hear from some teams, and deservedly so.
And there's only one of them who has any cause to feel that way. And that's my number 4 team, the Fitch Falcons. And that's how I'm feeling about them right now. Like, just all is good in the world. Because you got a coach in Mike Ellis who's got a firm handle on things. Very impressive win over an East Lyme team that I think is a good team. So if anyone could argue vaulting up ahead of Griswold, it would be Fitch. Mike DeMoro reported Caden Gaskin is now at Fitch and planning on playing in the NFA game. So an additional weapon for the Falcons if that does come to fruition. And again, Mike was reported that. So I think right now is a time for them to. Now this is without Devin Cook injured for the season, right? Guys banged up, but somehow I always, after talking with Coach Ellis, I always just feel a little better about things.
I like that's how you feel, because Coach Ellis makes me feel like that also, but I always get the sense that he never feels that way about his team.
I would agree.
And that's not a shot against his team. He just has such high expectations, as do all coaches, honestly. How often do you talk to a coach and they say, yeah, no complaints. We don't need to improve on anything.
I would suggest, if you really want to know what a high school football coach, how they should answer questions, go watch any interview with Coach Mike Ellis. Go watch this past week's Waterford Dental Health coach's interview. How he answers questions completely honestly, with no real hint of snark in any direction. He's always positive but critical of the things that, I don't know anybody better at being critical and he's yet making you feel very positive at the same time. He clearly, it's never personal it's just, I wish all coaches would take the Mike Ellis school of interviews. But that's how I feel about them. Now, you should know who's coming in at number 5 off of that emoji right there. because I have never in my life been confronted by or spoken to by as many fans of a 3-1 football team that, by the accounts of the people who come up to me, you would think that they had just hit an iceberg and the ship is sinking, because the Waterford Lancers just went out and won a football game. They're 3-1, and all I hear is about the impending doom that is Waterford. And what I mean by that is I think a level of expectation was set, and they have not reached that level of expectation. And so with that comes almost where 3-1's not good enough, and the results are. So they've made a change at quarterback. They've got some guys who are getting more penalties than they want. Their penalties have been a real problem in every game. This past week, they lost players due to unsportsmanlike penalties. They're not. The ship's not being run as efficiently as I'm sure the coaching staff would like. And the parents and the fans are saying, hey, what's going on with Waterford? Well, they're 3-1. I don't want to go too crazy. They are 3-1. I think they're disappointed in the 21-14 win over Valley, because I think they thought that was going to be a more lopsided win. And you had some guys not performing well, some guys getting kicked out of the game, some guys getting hurt. So right now, if the reports are true, you got some prominent players injured, some prominent players in the doghouse, some prominent players maybe not buying in as much as the coaches would like them to buy in, some general turmoil. Now, I would suggest this happens a lot when teams are 1-3 and 2-2. I've never come across a 3-1 team that has as many confusing aspects to it as Waterford. But all can be settled on Friday. The whole mystique, the whole sort of cloud hanging at Waterford right now can all go away come Friday.
And I believe you made a deal last week. Do you want to remind me what that was?
I do believe I said that if, in fact, Waterford were to win the 3 straight games that included the Ledyard game on Friday, that I would wear some form of Lancer gear.
It was a Speedo, right?
No, that was your suggestion. That was someone's suggestion. It wasn't my suggestion. Someone suggested that. I mean, no one wants to see that. But I do believe I agreed to it, maybe a sweatshirt or something like that.
All right, so I did see that the Lancer Nation store is still open. And I've heard from some of my sources in Waterford wondering, what size shirt do you take?
So I'm an XL. Unless they run particularly small, you can always go up to a double, feel blousy. But I'm in an XL right now, so if XL is the shirt. And I will say this, I'll go a step farther. If Waterford wins Friday night, the first person to present me with a wearable Waterford gear, shirt, sweatshirt,
Speedo,
zip up, whatever, I will credit them in next week's power rankings while wearing said garment. But right now, that's how I feel about Waterford. I don't know what to make of Waterford. I don't know what to make of all the. I try not to put too much stock into this, the buzz. But I mean, it's kind of hard not to. And so all is going to be settled on Friday when they play my team at number 6. That's the Ledyard Colonels. At Ledyard High School, live on game day. Big night at Ledyard. There's going to be the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We're going to have the band playing at halftime. It's going to be a big deal at Ledyard. But this is how I feel about Ledyard. Not how I feel about Ledyard, but how I feel Ledyard, where that program is right now. I feel like they're simmering. And I feel like they're simmering because they were angry at being overlooked, and then they threw a stinker in and did not play well. And then now have an opportunity here this week. I expect you're going to see a very physical, very motivated, very angry Ledger team this Friday. Now, Waterford's gonna stand toe to toe with them, but I feel like this week you're gonna see the best Ledger has to offer from a physical standpoint.
Reading the tea leaves out there, they're excited for this game. The fact that we're going to be there, the fact that Waterford's going to be there, the whole Hall of Fame thing, it's going to be an event, and the town has really been supporting them this year, and so I look forward to a full set of bleachers. We always look forward to a full set of bleachers.
Yeah. The crowds have been good, and I would encourage everybody, get to Ledger Friday because that should be a really good one. You got plenty of room on both sides, so you can have your home crowd and your away crowd. I mean, 2 one-loss teams playing for effectively the Division 2 title? Division 2 title, so why?
I expect that it will be loud enough there that we will not be able to hear the donkey from the press box.
Ooh. That should be drown out the donkey. That's the crowd's, drown them out. Drown out the donkey. So at number 7, we have our first team coming off a loss. This loss was seen live on game day. But this is how I feel about the East Lyme Vikings right now. I'm so optimistic. I think Coach Klein has got them heading in the right direction. I thought they played very good football. If you look at that game a little more closely, right? I mean, they get the field goal blocked. They get the lateral returned for a touchdown. Like, it was a quirky game. I mean, you had some big plays from that offense. They moved the ball up and down the field. I do think the defense needs some more size and physicality. I think Coach Klein would be the first to tell you that defensively they didn't attack that Fitch running game as well as he would have liked. But I'd feel very good if I were in East Lyme right now. I think East Lyme has a chance to win every game remaining on their schedule. It doesn't mean they will, but I think they can win almost everything that's left in front of them. They could lose. I mean, that's where that program is, but I think that's a program pointing in the right direction, and I like what he's doing there.
I came away actually really impressed by the strength and physicality of the defense, and I think you're right that it wasn't quite enough to win the game for them. But knowing the way Fitch historically runs the ball, I was surprised to see that Fitch ran the ball very well a lot of the time, but there were times late in the game where I was like, look at what the East Lyme interior is doing. Like, they are not getting pushed around, and they are shutting this down. So if they can find a way to do that most of the game, they're going to be really successful, I think. We talked in the preseason about the skill players that we knew about, the quarterback, the receiver, the running backs, and I think that their interior, the strength and physicality is on an upward trend.
I agree. And again, Coach Klein, big fan of where things are headed there, up on the Vikes. So coming in at number 8, fresh off of the most surprising win of the week, the Stonington Bears. This is not how I feel about Stonington. This is how everyone in Stonington feels about me right now. Right? You guys said it. You told me. You told me that I was not giving them enough credit. I told you, win. And what have you done the last 2 weeks? You beat New London. You beat Wyndham. Now, granted, New London and Wyndham both struggling a little bit, but those are the games you have to win. So now if you want to look at Stonington's season and say they lost to a good Waterford team, they've lost 2 games against good teams, they've handily beaten 2 teams that they should beat. So they're on a bye this week. The rest of the schedule, if you want to keep rising up, Bears, you got to keep winning those games, and you got to beat somebody that maybe, you got Bacon on the schedule, for example. You beat Bacon well, that's the kind of win you need.
And what this says to me, what their performance the last couple of games says to me, is that the race in Division 3 in the ECC is going to be really exciting once they start playing division games.
You look at Bacon, right? Bacon Griswold, Bacon Stonington, like that's the games, right? They're all playing each other now.
Division 2, you've got 2 teams doing really well. You've got 2 teams that are not having a great year. So that that very well might come down to our game that we're streaming this week. Division 1, unless something crazy happens, no one's going to catch Killingly. I think every team in Division 3 thinks they have a chance, and they
why
do.
Not? Why
honestly.
not? Yeah, why not? Okay, Stonington, here it is. I'm not willing to do a Fonzie yet and say that I was, but you told me so. Coming in at number 9, back into the top 10, the NFA Wildcats. That is, by the way, if you were wondering, what I put in when I put in the relief emoji, the exhaling of relief emoji, because NFA needed a win like nobody's business, right? And we kept talking about tough opening schedule. Well, they went out and beat Harding, and Harding is 2-2. So Harding was 2-1 going into that game. So it's not like they beat some 0-4 team. They went out and beat a big school, beat Harding, played a solid football game start to finish. Maybe they're starting to find their identity. Driscoll back at quarterback, throwing some touchdown passes. Sebastian's a great player. We're seeing a little more. Maybe NFA's starting to figure it out again. Second-year coach, right? So you're still trying to get that program identity, but I have a feeling that NFA is on the up, but more than anything else, just a big sigh of relief coming out of Norwich.
So I think for both of these teams, that 8 and 9, Stonington and NFA, we knew that the first couple of weeks, as far as matchups, were going to be a challenge for them. And I think now maybe we're seeing the teams that we thought were there, the teams that they thought they were. It's not going to get any easier for either of those teams. NFA, being such a big school, is going to play one of the hardest schedules. Stonington, as we said, is going to still have a bunch of competitive games, but it does feel good to see those teams having some success.
It does. I agree. All right, teams not in it before I reveal number 10. Teams not in it. Montville still trying to get on the win column, and I would love to see the Wolves come away with some wins this year. I love the coach. I love the program. I want to see them come away on that new turf. So Wolves on the outside looking in right now. Woodstock, same thing. Would love to see the Centaurs back in the mix. I think the league's better when Woodstock's good too, because it gives a different look than the traditional teams that we always cover. Falling out of the top 10 this week, Wyndham. Again, right now, program struggling. I think it won't take much to get them back into the top 10, but off of that loss they suffered to Stonington, they drop. And dropping from 8 but remaining in the top 10, don't sleep on the Valley Panthers. If this week was as much as we want to make it about Waterford, let's make it about Valley, right? Rather than talking about what Waterford didn't do, let's talk about what Valley did do. Valley stood toe-to-toe with Waterford, kept it to a touchdown game. They have beaten some good teams. They have lost to some good teams. Valley is intriguing to me. They still have the small team schedule remaining, and I think they are a team capable of winning, certainly another handful of games or more. And I think don't sleep on Valley, because to me, we say that, there's no such thing as a good loss, so to speak, but if you can learn from losses, they become, victories. And I got to think they come out of Waterford's game last week saying, guys, this is supposed to be one of the elite teams in the whole league, and we just went toe-to-toe with them, so let's win. And
credit to the players and the coaches up there for having such a successful start to the season with a new cooperative, right? You've got you're merging two teams that are actually coming from 4 different schools, I think. Ellis Tech, Putnam, Turtelot on the previous Quinnebog Valley cooperative, trioperative, and now you're folding in Plainfield. So we've talked about the challenges of being a first-year head coach. you've got a group of kids who maybe you haven't worked with before. It's a whole different challenge to be a coach with a group of kids you have worked with before, and then you bring in a group that has worked together and maybe even played against you, coming from different schools. And even just like managing the logistics of when is your practice going to be, because you've got to make sure that people can get from a couple towns over, can get the transportation, get on a bus, get a ride or whatever.
Yeah.
So credit to them for what they've been able to accomplish so far this season.
So not a lot of changes in the top 10, and if you're looking, there's the majority of the league is on bye. The majority of the top 10 is on byes. Really, this week is about our game on Friday. It's about Waterford at Ledyard. So if you're Killingly or Fitch or East Lyme or Stonington or NFA or Valley, why not go to Ledyard High School Friday night? Check out the game of the week in the conference between two very good teams, because you got byes all over the place. Bacon New London is the other game that I think it obviously holds personal interest for me because of both schools, but because I do think Bacon is, we put them at number 2 because they're undefeated, and every week we're waiting for sort of the bubble to burst on the Bobcats, and this would be a win that would continue their successful season. In a nutshell, if you want to get back in the top 10, you just got to play well. And if you want to stay in the top 10, you got to keep playing well. And, I'm going to continue to consult the Game Day Crystal Ball each week and have it tell me all I need to know. And this week it told me the emojis that needed to be out there. Who knows what it'll tell me next week.